I'm Mary, I'm Rachel.
And I'm Kelsey.
And we're the founders of Thanks USA.
And the proud writers of the ConRap.
So we're sending you our first draft of the Bill of Rights for your consideration while we work on the rest of the amendments. So we hope you enjoy.
Let's unwrap our mummy document and start this wrap-off with raps. R is for religion, you can practice what you preach. There is no national doctrine you're required to teach, but I'll teach you a lesson, so arise and assemble. A is for this right as fundamental as genetics to Mendel. Popular participation protects the people's liberties. Gather as you please and pun it town square me. P is for petition, no need to ask for permission. There is no condition, your elected reps must listen. You can push the government's buttons with the freedom of press. That's the next P. The media's a watchdog, howling about issues to address. S is for speech. Censure shouldn't mean censor. You can voice your plight. They may not think what you write is right, but it is still your right.
Because these rights are what TJ called inalienable. They aren't gifts from the government. They are supposed to be protected by Madison's barriers of parchment. But after the Revolutionary War, the Founding Fathers were skeptical. The British Army had fought its own people, which wasn't acceptable. So look at these two guns. You have the right to bear arms. If the government isn't benign, you can protect yourself from harm.
Colonists wanted these guns because they didn't trust the stand-in militia. During the French and Indian War, Americans hosted the British, but in peacetime it seemed like a crime for soldiers to stay without paying a dime. This right prevents quartering, but this is number 3. The quartered aren't boarders. They must do their own G-washing. No obligation to let them stay free.
We are all for it. Number 4, the warrant. The police have got to pause since they have probable cause. In other words, if you don't have permission, I don't need to give you admission. My house isn't a Google search bar. You can't look for whatever you wish. I need the warrant, not just I warrant you've got something suspicious.
Is the Bill of Rights just restoring what the war seemed to ban? Because this next amendment's different, not a product of belligerence. Colonists held on to their rights as Englishmen with this 5-fingered hand. There are 5 parts to 5. No witness against self. You've got the right to remain silent. You need evidence from somewhere else, not just testimony from the client. No play in double jeopardy, only one trial, then it ends. So if you're innocent, the courts can't Alex Trebek you again. Trial by jury, except for the military in war, can't lock away life, liberty, and property without due process like habeas corpus. Plus your private property is protected. History was affected. The Missouri Compromise split territories into slave and free. Then the dreaded Dred Scott decision said Congress can't prohibit slavery since moving people would miss their property. So because of 5, the Missouri Compromise turns into the Compromise of Misery.
Number 6 concerns a word with 6 letters, T-R-I-A-L-S. There are 3 parts to this amendment that we need to address. First, the trial and the traits that make it viable. It's speedy as the Daytona 500, so you aren't sitting in prison for a ton of days like the undead. It's public, so you aren't left behind in the dust. Your crime must be confronted. To forget is unjust. Next comes the jury, impartial, educated, local. They must be unbiased and aware to avoid skewing the vote total. Finally, accused is not the same as abused. You still have rights that can't be construed. Access to a charge, a witness, a lawyer. The judicial system should be a mediator, not a destroyer.
When you walk into a 7-Eleven, you can order your trial by jury. Here's the transaction. Any civil case concerning $20 or more, you can call the common law into action. No inflation clause included, so you can bring a case dealing with just one Jackson.
While we're talking about bills, let's talk about bail. The judge determines the punishment, but the framers set rules. It's not contingent on the judge's magic 8-ball. It can't be unusual and cruel.
Number 9 draws a line, the fence of defense. The Bill of Rights intent was to prevent the government from encroaching on that site. It's a barrier for lawmakers, not the bounds of a person's rights.
Number 10 tells the government to stop, compensating for the Fed's weight. Your fingers stand for its responsibilities, which the Constitution delegates, but all the empty spaces left fall under the jurisdiction of the states.
Thank you.
Thank you.